7:43 right now. A tragic story in Virginia this week. A 2-year-old boy died after he was left in a hot car. It is the third child to die this way just this week and the 19th nationwide this year. Joined this morning by Amber Rollins, Director of Kids and Car Safety, a nonprofit fighting to end these preventable tragedies. Amber, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I think we have to start first with a lot of the misconceptions around this. I think people say this would never happen to me. How could this happen? But your data shows that many of these cases, they involve loving, responsible caregivers. So can you talk about that misconception a little bit?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is one of those things that nobody thinks is going to happen to them until it does. And then, you live with a lifetime of the worst thing that could ever happen to anybody, being responsible for your own child's death. And what happens is we have competing memory systems in our brain, one that controls prospective memory, like what's going to happen, and one that controls habit memories. And that part of our brain that controls our habit memories is what we commonly refer to as being in autopilot mode. So, driving from home to work without a conscious thought about how to get there. And when you're operating in autopilot mode, that part of your brain can't account for any change in that habit memory. So if you've got any kind of change in your morning routine, this is what can cause a loving, responsible, safety-minded parent to literally lose awareness of the baby in the back seat, who's in a rear-facing car seat, who's probably fallen asleep, and drive straight to work, not realizing they didn't make that stop.
Yeah, and of course, we know the consequences of that are just unbearable for so many parents. You've been tracking these numbers for years. You have warned that these deaths we know are preventable. Even the slightest change in your routine can throw things off. What are we talking about technology-wise that could help parents kind of navigate around this?
Well, the great news is there is technology that can detect the presence of a child in a vehicle and can tell that they're alone, that there's no adult in the vehicle with them, and can then work with the different systems in the vehicle to alert parents, bystanders, even authorities that that child is in danger. And this is a radar-based system. It detects micro movements, so like the little moving of a child's chest as it breathes. And then there's also some lower tech solutions out there that are pretty widespread in new vehicles right now. And we call these end of trip reminders. So they know that you've opened the back door before you drive somewhere. And when you turn the engine off, you're going to get a little reminder on your dash. Unfortunately, it's not a great solution. It's got, tons of false alarms because it doesn't actually detect the child. And so, we want consumers to know that that is not a reliable solution. You need to take some extra precautions if you've got one of those in your car.
We know such important information. Of course, so much information out there can also be overwhelming to a lot of parents. But where can people go to learn more about this, some of the right tools and tips, and to help push for change?
So you can visit our website. It's kidsandcars.org. And you can also follow us on social media. We are always sharing the latest tips and tricks for parents and caregivers on keeping children safe.
All right. Amber Rollins, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.